Another brick fan with a Harry Potter set. This is Quidditch Trunk. This is set 76416, was released in June 2023. It has 599 pieces, 4 minifigures, and cost about $68 when it was released. This is one of 9 Harry Potter sets that were released in June. And this is a trunk that is much like the Hogwarts Magical Trunk from last year. That was set 76399, and it cost just about the same price, $65 as opposed to $68. There's a lot of really cool play features and things with this, and we'll take a look at the two trunks and compare them here in a little bit, since I did review that trunk, the Magical Trunk, last year. So as you can see, this trunk is a Quidditch field here in the main trunk itself, and then it's got all of the house banners there on the outside, kind of up, and this is very similar to the Magical Trunk. We have 4 Quidditch players, so we have Quidditch robes from each of the 4 houses. We'll take a close look at the minifigures here in a minute. And then we have this kind of Quidditch display rack back here, a chest, some different tiles to represent like bludgers, quaffles, and snitch here, as well as a couple of different accessories for playing different games, and I'll try and give you an idea and show you what those look like here in just a few moments. But let's first concentrate on this little display stand we have for the Quidditch accessories. So here's this little stand with the Quidditch accessories. You see there's this trophy here which can be clipped in, so when you put everything together and close the book, that's what happens. There's 4 spots here for brooms. So these are the older style brooms, or the one-piece brooms. There's 1 black one and 3 brown ones. And then if you look here, there are stickers for each of the house banners in here. So we have Gryffindor, Slytherin, Ravenclaw, and Hufflepuff. And then there are a couple of bludgers up here that are done quite well. So that all turns out very nicely and gives you kind of a way to store all of these different pieces inside of the trunk itself. Let's take a look at the trunk really quick. Taking a look from slightly above the trunk, you can see that the front has some nice stickers here with, again, the different house banners here. There's house banners on all 4 of the house banners are represented here with stickers on these tiles. So you see that they have them both sides here. In this configuration, we have the Quidditch rings back here in the back. And then the handles on the chest itself actually allow it to move back and forth. And you can put a minifigure up here. Let's go ahead and clip Draco Malfoy up here. So there's Draco with his broom. You can position that how you want, but you can see you can move Draco back and forth. Now, if we take another of our characters, so we can take Harry Potter here and put him on this little stand here with a tile shooter. And now Harry can shoot these tiles and try and score a goal, where you could have someone else controlling Draco as the keeper to prevent him from doing that. Now there are 3 different colors of tiles provided. I would assume the gray is for the bludgers, a red for a quaffle, and then a gold for a golden snitch. Because there are different configurations we can put this game into. So let's take a look at one of the other games. So best as I can tell, in this game, the idea once again is to take this shooter and try and hit this little section here and pop the figure up or hit them with the golden snitch. So you just go in and you'll fire away and see if you can hit back here. It gives you an opportunity to hit the snitch player. Now this is just on a kind of a static thing here where it just goes back, it just turns a little bit. It doesn't move back and forth as it did down here with the other game. The last game is a bludger game. So in this configuration, we have a bludger game where we can move the player around, and presumably this would be to prevent the player from getting hit by the bludger. So once again, you can shoot that from here and see if you can hit that player. I've got the bludger or the beater stick here. This is a beater. is the name of the player, I guess, that position they're playing, and then this would be another beater hitting the bludger towards them, or maybe one of the chasers trying to get to a quaffle. Regardless, there's 3 different ways you can kind of work with this particular game. One last little piece that comes with it is one of these new chest pieces. You can see here it's got some different pieces in there. So there's a couple of studs representing bludgers. There's a big red Technic ball here to represent the quaffle. And then, of course, there's one of these little snitch pieces here. So we have essentially all of the different balls that are associated with a Quidditch game in kind of more of a minifigure scale. Although I do think that snitch is way too big, but regardless of that, it is a nice little mold. So let's take a closer look at the minifigures now. As I mentioned in the beginning, this set comes with 4 minifigures. We have 4 named characters. So we have Harry Potter and Cho Chang, Cedric Diggory, and Draco Malfoy, which represent all 4 houses. Now it also comes with 10 additional minifigure heads and hair pieces, which I'll show you here in a minute, which means you can shuffle these around. But essentially you get 1 Quidditch player from each house. So here's Harry, kind of an older version. I would say this is probably 4th or 5th year maybe. Harry Potter and Cho Chang. I think she started showing up in maybe the 5th book, 4th book, something like that. So the timing seems right. They do have the full-size legs. All of them have these tan pants, and then the torso represents their house. So this is the Gryffindor robes here in red and yellow. And then, of course, Ravenclaw in this blue and should be silver. I think Cho Chang turned out very nicely. This is a pretty standard Harry Potter headpiece. Notice they do have these hoods, which is an additional piece that they connect on there. And there's one in each of the 4 house colors, so red, blue, green, and yellow. They all have these softer material capes, once again in their house colors. The backs of these figures are pretty plain in this case. They do have alternate expressions, so there's the alternate expression for Harry and Cho. Well, let's move on to our next 2 figures. So next up we have Cedric Diggory from Hufflepuff and Draco Malfoy from Slytherin. Once again, tan legs, full-size legs. They've all got the dark hands, so I assume they're all wearing gloves. Once again, they have the soft material capes in their house colors. And then these hood pieces. I think Cedric's face turned out very nicely here, and kind of a scowl on Draco here. But as you see moving around, you see those nice soft capes, the plastic hood pieces. Here are our alternate expressions. Smaller smile for Cedric and maybe a little frightened look for Draco. So there are the 4 minifigures. Now we have 4 different torsos for 4 different houses, as I've mentioned. So let's take a look at the additional minifigure heads and hair pieces that we get with this set. So I've just kind of put these minifig heads up on this little stand so you can take a look at them. So we have 10 additional head pieces and 10 additional hair pieces. So I put like the boys in front, the male looking versions here in front, and the females up top. They all come in different skin colors with lots of different facial expressions, lots of different hair pieces. So you can mix and match these however you'd like to get some very nice figures here for all of these. Now, they all do have alternate expressions as well. So here we have all the alternate expressions for all of our various figures, which I think all turn out pretty nicely. So we do have the ability to create multiple different figures. There's at least 14 different figures we can create with the 14 different minifigure heads and 14 different hair pieces, and you can mix and match those to create the characters to look however you want. So I think that's a very nice benefit. And I believe the magical trunk also from last year came with a bunch of extra minifigure heads and hair pieces as well. So kind of very similar idea between these 2 sets, although one was themed for like the interior of Hogwarts, where this is themed for the Quidditch pitch. So let's go back and take a look at how the sets compare to each other and how they look how the set looks when it's closed. Here's all the various pieces and parts for this set, and they all kind of fit into this chest. So this section here fits right there in the middle. So with all the little accessories for our Quidditch players, fits right there in the middle. And then we have the chest that can just go right up front here. Our minifigures will all fit right in this section here. Just kind of drop them in. Then these different tile pieces, I suppose you could just put in here loose if you want. Just to keep them all together. And then the little tabs here fold down. And we close this up. And it does kind of have some locks in there, so you can see all the different stickers on the outside with the different houses on them and just some little texturing. There's like a little lock here in the front. The handles, of course, for the chest itself. The little display wall that we clipped in here becomes the back of the chest, and there are some spots back here for storing the other various pieces and parts here. So as you can see, the Quidditch goals here can just be clipped onto the back. So there we have the entire box kind of stored together. These little tile pieces can also be thrown in there as well. So it becomes one compact little case. Now if we compare this to the magical trunk from last year, and like this one, this magical trunk, in this case the magical trunk has a lock on it. So it does actually have a locking mechanism in there and a little key that'll open that up. But as you can see, it also has a bunch of these different pieces that make up a student's, and it has all these different pieces back here that make up a different classrooms. It has a couple of printed tiles, some other accessories for various classrooms and common rooms. Then there's some of these pieces that are stickered also with the different house banners here for like the Great Hall, for example. And then the other sides have different stickers with different animals on them. You see there's a fox there, or a snake here, or a lion here, and an owl or a raven here. So definitely all different sticker sets. And if you want, I'll leave a link to my full review of this set. But as you can see, it's a very similar design done for both of these trunks. So overall, I think this is an interesting set. I like the fact that we have multiple games that can be played. There's some little action features with it. That you do get a Quidditch robed player with the little hood pieces, as I pointed out when we looked at the minifigures, for each of the 4 houses. So that's a very nice thing to have. It's if you take that with some of the other Quidditch sets they've done over the years, you might actually be able to create 10 of these minifigures for a complete Quidditch team, 5 on each side. And I do like the fact that it comes with all of the extra minifigure heads and different hairstyles. So you can create as many characters as you want, as many different students as you want. So it gives you a lot of that same kind of flexibility. Now on to just a little bit on the value of this set. It is a fairly interesting set in the display ability of it. I do like the Quidditch field and how that's made in those different colors of green and white there. I thought that turned out very nicely. I do like the little action feature here, and then the little tile shooter kind of adds a little bit of fun play to this. You do get 4 minifigures, but you get an additional 10 minifigure heads and minifigure hair pieces. So you get not only these 4 named characters with Cedric, Cho Chang, Draco Malfoy, and Harry Potter, but then you get a bunch of different skin tones, different hair pieces, etc., to make whatever players you want. So I think that's a very nice feature. It is 599 pieces for $68, so that's around 11 to 12 cents per piece, which is a little bit more than the 10 cent per piece that I like to start with. The magical trunk from last year had about 600 pieces, maybe a few more, and it was $65, so definitely the price is a little bit higher on this trunk, even though they have pretty much the same pieces and they're designed almost the same. So there's a little bit of a price hike from 2022 to 2023. Overall, though, I think as a Harry Potter themed set, having it above 10 cents per piece is pretty common. So that doesn't bother me too much. So overall, I think it's a decent value. Of course, it would be great to be able to get this trunk for somewhere in the $50 range, maybe, or even straight up $60, right? The $59.99. I often say that I think Lego is a little bit overpriced, and a 20% discount is probably where most of these sets should be priced. Hope you've enjoyed my thoughts on this Harry Potter set. I'm going to get started on my next video. And until then, happy building. If you enjoyed this video, hit that like button. Be sure to subscribe to see more of my content. I've left a link to my Harry Potter review playlist up here on the screen.